everyone, this is Debbie from Project 39 Mini Albums. You've probably already seen the walkthrough of the projects associated with this. This is made using the paper collection Tea for Two, exclusive to Country Craft Creations. I'm going to show you in this video how to make this teapot. Let me explain a little bit about the components that go into it. So first of all, we've got the top, and obviously everything is a hexagon shape. The top is made up of this base, this little piece, and then the top. So just so you're aware of what that is. And these are just glued on top of each other. Now, for something else, if you had like a little bauble or something to put on the top, that would be really cute. But that's optional. The main part of the teapot is this hexagon shape. And then these two pieces that are glued onto the base, and of course I'll show you. And then there's this piece, which is just like a bottom platform kind of thing, just so it sits up a little bit. You don't need to do that, it is optional, but you can if you want. And then also there's the decorating of the front here. Now you could do it without the decorating. That's what it's going to look like. It's pretty plain, but it is entirely up to you. So without any further ado, let me show you how to make it. Okay, so here's the template for the hexagon. Well, there's two. The outside one is the one that you'll need, and then these we will use in a little bit. So what you need to do is cut 4 hexagons out of your cardstock. Now, if you have heavyweight cardstock, that will work. You could also use just regular cardstock, which is what I'm using. So I'm going to, and you might even want to make an extra one and do like a trial first. And that's what I've got here. The first thing I'm going to do with my hexagon is we're going to score it. We're going to score on all 6 sides at 1/2 inch and 1 inch. Now we could go over here and score, but it's just easier. Let's just keep it consistent. 1/2 inch and 1 inch. So you'll do 2 sets of those 6 times. Whoops. 1/2 inch and 1 inch. Now, just so you keep it straight, that first 1/2 inch we're going to call A. So this one is A. The second one, which is the 1 inch, we'll call B. We'll make that dashed line. And if you do one as a trial, then you can write on it as well. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to make lines. So what I'm going to do is, so where this the A line gets to the top, we'll put one of the sides up at the top. So here is the A line and it ends here. I put it right at 6. I'm just going to take my stylus and make sure it's in the right spot. You can just feel it and go and make a straight line up, which happens to be at the 6-inch line because I've made a line here. So I know the corresponding line will go down. So we're going to go down to that B score line, and then we'll start from the B score line and go down to the outside. We'll do that here so that it's going to be at 4. We'll go from 4 down to that second score line, and here we'll go from that score line. I'm moving this just because I want to find it right at the exact spot down. Now we'll rotate it again. I'm going to match this line up to where it says 6, and I'll go from 6 down, and I'll go from 4 down, just stopping at the score lines. And here I'm going to go from 6 down and 4 down. So I have one more set to do. So we'll go from the top of the hexagon down to that B score line. And we'll start here at the B and go down to the end of the paper. We'll do that with the 4. I'm finding I have to move it over a little. If you have to move it over, it's no big deal. Okay, so we have 2 more score lines, and the one, so if you're holding this up, the one we just made that's on the left-hand side we'll call C, and I'm just going to dot that. And then the one that is on the right-hand side we'll call D, and I'm just going to squiggle on that. So if you want, you can mark all of those. You could mark it with different color inks if you wanted to. C, D, C, D. Okay. Now it's important to get those straight so you know what we're talking about, because I'm going to take some scissors and I'm going to cut. So first, what I am going to cut is on the D line. We're going to cut all of those from the D line to where it stops at this B line. I'm going to cut all those D's, all of them. Just go around and make a cut. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to cut the C, but only up to the A score line. So C is here. We're just going to cut a little bit. So it's the straight one that goes just across one score line and stops at another. Okay, now what I want to do is, so the D starts, and we've already made a cut. So I'm going to cut from where the D starts all the way across the C. So it's going to be like this, like that. So we rotate. It's going to be on the A line from where the D starts to the C. On the A line from where the D starts to the C. So we have it looking sort of like that. So far, so good. Looks sort of like a saw blade. All right, now before we go any further, I'm going to grab some score tape. And I'm going to put score tape. So this, you'll have a little pizza pie shape. I'm going to put the score tape from that pizza pie shape all the way to the C line. So I'm going to go across a cut mark from here, and then I'm just going to pull it. I know some people would rather have a straight cut, and that's okay. So we're going to go across here. So I'm keeping it closer to the inner score line than the outer edge, just because I'll get a little more of my score tape on that little triangular piece. And then I'm going to take my scissors and make sure that score tape is cut on our pizza pie shape. So I'm just going to recut what's already been cut, but this time I'm cutting that score tape piece. Couple more. Okay. So we've got this. And you see it, there's a little piece of score tape on all of those little pieces. Okay, I guess I should have turned it upside down, but it doesn't matter here. This is just my test one. All right, so in the one facing me, I'm going to pull up this one tab. It's got the score line on it, and I'm going to burnish that. It's got our pizza. It's got the 1/2 inch and then another 1/2 inch with the score tape. So I'm going to burnish that. Then I'll fold this one and burnish that. Let's do all of those. Let's go around, fold, and burnish on those 2 pieces. Okay, now I'm going to take my little pizza pie and pull it in and burnish that in. So you'll have those little pizza pies facing in. And then I'm going to peel off that little bit of score tape on our pizza pies. I think it's fortunate that these are shaped like the triangle wedge, just so I can say pizza pie in a video several times. Okay, so we have all the pizza pies. Several times. Okay, so I'm going to pull this up, and we're going to try to have them standing at right angles, so it's standing straight up from the surface, and we'll take our pizza shape and pull it over to the one on the left. And we'll go around and do that for all of these shapes. Match the corners and go around. Did I not peel that one? I never get any on that one. I don't know. All right, I'll add some score tape on that. In the meantime, we're going to take off just a little bit of the score tape. I'm going to still leave it on. I'm just going to peel off the backing. Sorry, that's what I meant. On the right-hand side, we'll peel off the backing. And then we're going to take the one that's peeled off, and we're going to push this one down, so the corner of the left side, the one on the to the left, is going to hit some of that score tape. So the one to the right is going to be up top. We're going to push it down so it'll hit the one on the left. Then I covered the top and the sides, and we'll put this aside. You'll need 2 of this shape, but one you don't need to cover the top. That'll actually become the bottom, but you might want to cover the sides. So now let's grab another one. And this time we're only going to score, we'll save these for later, we're only going to score 1/2 inch on all 6 sides. Five and 6. And then what I want to do is make a line just on the left side from the point where these 2 score lines intersect up. So we'll just switch them all just on the left side. So we'll just need 6 of those. I'm just eyeballing it to where that 6-inch mark is, and then I'll adjust it if I need to, just to make sure we have it from here. And you can tell just by putting your stylus at that intersection, and if it causes an indentation, then you can move it. All right, before I do anything else, I'm going to grab my score tape, and I'm going to put it along the outside perimeter. And I'll burnish that down because I won't get a chance to burnish it again. Okay, and then I'll turn it over just so we can see. We're going to make a cut on the score line to the right. Since we turned it upside down, the straight up and down score line is going to be on the right side. It was on the left when we made it, but we turned it upside down. So we're going to make it on the right side, that 1/2 inch score line, up to the one that goes up and down. So we'll do that all around the perimeter of the whole thing. Okay, so now we will fold and burnish on that score line. I'm folding them up, so when you push it down, we still have the score tape on there. And then I'm just going to peel off a little bit of the tape that's on that side. If you've got tape at the top, we can peel that off too. And I'm just going to fold it with my finger. Piece of paper didn't need to be there. And then at that one little score line that we made, I'm going to fold that in, fold it in. And then trying to keep this as much of a 90-degree angle, we'll go ahead and adhere those pieces. Just try to keep it as straight as you can. And the reason I use score tape instead of glue is because it's an instant. It would be a pain to hold this, but if that's what you would like to do, then you can do that. I'm just going to hold those burnishes. All right, so now I have two pieces that are 1.5 inches by 8. I'm going to take my scoreboard and I'm going to score those at 3/4 of an inch. I'm going to check just to make sure. So the sides measure 2 5/8. So we're going to score 2 5/8, 5 1/4, and 7 3/4. 2 5/8, 5 1/4, 7 3/4. Move the scoreboard out of the way. Okay, I'm going to make a line, a trim, on that line we just made up to that first score line. I'm going to take off this little piece because you'll have a 1/4 of an inch piece at the end. Just straight on the score line. You don't want a miter here. All right, fold. Whoops. And burnish on that score line that goes the length of the piece. Okay, so what we're going to be doing is putting this on the side and going all the way around. Well, I mean, you'll go around half of it, and then we'll do the other half. So we'll start at one of the straight up and down lines, making sure we match it at the bottom. I'm putting it on the table just to make sure my surface so it goes down. It looks like this score line was not exactly where it needed to be, so I'm just going to fold it. But I will continue with the next piece and matching that up. And I'm just going to simply cut off this extra piece. Oops, this is. Okay, and then we're just going to fold this other piece from the inside and we'll glue that on the inside. Okay, now I'm going to take liquid adhesive and I'm going to put it, well, turn these flaps that are at the top to the outside just so we can adhere the glue. So we'll just put the glue on the outer flap. It's going to be on the inside. And then we'll take it and just fold it that score line and burnish it. Okay, so now we'll go around and do the other 5 sides. And turn it on its side to burnish. Okay, and there we have our lid. And then finally we need to get one ready for the bottom piece. So we're just going to score it at 1/2 inch all around. And then after we've scored it, we have this diamond caused by the score lines. We're just going to cut that off at all 6 corners. This is going to go on the bottom, so we will burnish it. We can add, before we burnish it, we can add some score tape to these outer tabs. Again, it'll be easier to put it on with the score tape than the liquid adhesive, but if you want to use liquid glue or glitter glue, whatever, then you're welcome to. So burnish that. And then fold, I turned it over, we'll fold these in. And put that aside until we need that. In the meantime, I have cut 6 pieces at 5 by 5.5. And we're going to score all of these with the 5-inch side at the top. You're going to score them all at 2.5. And we're going to do this in sets of 3. Don't miter or anything. But, so I have one piece. I'm going to add glue to this entire right-hand side. So I'll go around the perimeter, put glue there, and then I'll take another piece and layer this to the very right of that score line. And burnish. All right, so now I'll take glue and add glue onto the right-hand side and add this piece to the, just a smidgen past that score line. I'll do that with the set of 3 that we have left. Okay, we're going to put these aside, and in the meantime we're going to work on the handles in the, so in your template you'll have this piece and this piece. So what I did is I put some temporary adhesive on here, put it onto a piece of cardstock, and then cut just along the very outside edge. So I'll just peel this off, save it because we'll use it again, and we'll peel this off. So you'll notice there is, peel this off. There are 2 areas on the handle that have the dots on it. That will be where we score it. And same on this part. We'll still need to add a little piece to it, but we'll put that aside for now. So now we have these, and what you need to do is cut these out twice out of your coordinating cardstock. But we can cut off the score line. We don't need that. But we're going to cut this time on the inside of this line. So I'm going to start here. And you can cut 2 of these because you can have one for the inside and one for the outside of the handle. So we'll just cut on the inside and leaving about a 1/16 of an inch of the black on here. Ignore this little piece. And then it comes down just to add a little decorative element. And then we'll cut that off and then cut on here. I know fussy cutting is not my favorite thing. If you didn't want the handles, you could do it without the handles and it would make more of a like a china pot, like a piece of porcelain. But since this paper is tea for 2, I wanted a teapot. All right, so we have that. I still have the temporary adhesive on here. So the way this works is that can be adhered onto here. And there is our handle. And then we'll do the other one as the spout. So I'll cut some more and then I'll come back and show you what I did. So real quick, just to clarify, after I cut the original pieces, I turned my paper over because there is a little pattern on this. and then I reattached it to my cardstock, and I will cut a second piece. So we have one for the front and one for the back. Now on this one, you may notice there's more of the black border. I found that I like to have a little bit less of a border when I put this down on here. So I just cut in the center of that black line. All right, I want to show you where we need to score. So here's the original template. I did not transfer the mark of where we need to score, so I'm going to do it now. So here is one edge, here is the other. So I'm just going to draw a line. A really light line. So that's where we'll score on there. We'll put this on here real quick. And this one is here. And that's there. So we'll grab my scoreboard. I'm going to line it up on my 6-inch line and score there. Okay, now I want to make a matching area to score. So I'm taking some scraps. I'm going to fold this to 1-inch scrap, 1 inch by about 2. I scored at the 1/2-inch line. I'm going to add glue onto one of the sides here. And I am going to place this. I really want to erase all this. I'm going to place this right at the score line. I know I've got some overhang. I'm going to go right at the score line. And then I'm just going to trim it down at the top. And we'll do the same for these two. I have about a 1 by 2 inch piece, probably less. I cut that in half. Oops. We'll put this right up against the score line. And trim. Okay, so now I have these pieces. I'm going to go ahead and add my colored cardstock on top of it. So this one I have shaped like that. Now I'm just going to do cardstock. I'm not going to do decorative paper. You could add decorative paper if you wanted to. I didn't feel that it needed it here. So there's one over there. One over here. Here I'm using the liquid adhesive because I want to have some movement to it so I can get it placed exactly where I want to. There's two. I'm going to burnish this. All right. Then we're going to bring back in our two pieces. What's going to happen is we're going to attach these together. But before I do that, I want to put on the handle and the spout. So I'm going to put this right at the score line. We're going to cover this up with our pattern paper. So I'm centering this on here. So the score lines are going to meet, meaning the score line on the handle is going to match with the score line of our other piece. So there's one, and I'll do this on the other side. This one, the spout, I'm going to put a little bit lower. All right, now that we've got that, now I'm going to continue to glue this piece onto here. So I'm going to add glue. This one's easy. That one will be more of a challenge, but not difficult. So we'll put that on there, line everything up, and burnish. And what you'll be doing is you'll be folding on the score line and glue this. But before I do that, I'm going to add pattern paper onto here to make it easy while it's all done. All right, let's add our decorative paper. So I've cut 6 pieces of our cardstock, 2 3/8 by 5 5/16, and 2 1/8 by 5 1/8. This green, I forget what color they called it. So just where it's doubled, not on that single piece. Wait, will that one need it? Yeah, this one will need it too, because we're going to double that up. I like the dots. I think that adds some extra texture to it, but if it's not your favorite, you don't need to do the dot side. You could do the other side. So by adding these layers, it's going to make it that much stronger. So I'm making sure it's lined up. And we have enough room for our little spout and our handles. I'll go ahead and add this. So these I cut 2 1/8 by 5 1/8. I'm not using there's one side that's got the teapots on it. I'm not using that. I loved this pattern paper, and I think it'll make a great teapot. Make sure you add some glue to the top and bottom, because that's where the lid's going to go on, and we want to make sure that that doesn't interfere with anything. I'm going to try to line it up so the pattern continues. I should have thought about that earlier on. Oops. And that's upside down. Okay, I've got all my pattern paper on for the outside. I'll add glue to this final panel. I guess we could have dry fit it first. And I'll just bend those, bend that in, and that'll be perfect. So there is the outside of our teapot. Now we've already made this bottom piece. If you want to, you can add pattern paper to this. I don't feel like it's necessary because you're not going to see it. Now let's dry fit this. If you find it doesn't fit, you might need to rescore one or two sides. And that'll work. Gonna have to do some maneuvering, but I'm gonna take off one and a half pieces of our tape, and I'll start at the center where it's going to be viewed from. And I want it just inside. Well, that looked easier. Not going to be that easy for the rest of them, though, I'll tell you that. Okay, so we'll work on the top of the box, which is all put together. You could use the template. Whoops, where's the template? But I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to trace this because once you put the bottom on, it may not be perfectly hexagonal. Grab my pencil. And I'm going to just trace, putting this at the bottom, just at the outside. I'm going to use the plain side, not the dotted side. So now that I've traced it, I'm going to cut exactly this size, which is going to be a little bit too big, so we're going to have to cut it down. But let's cut it exactly, and you could use your paper trimmer instead of a scissors. I'm comfortable with these scissors. And I'm not worried about the paper, the pencil line, because now I'm going to cut it down. Let's figure out where that is. So again, it's going to be a little bit too big. So I'm going to just cut about 1/8 of an inch smaller on all 6 sides. This is chancing it that I get it right. And then I'll go ahead and ink up the edges with a pink in this case. And again, I'll have to figure out which direction this was in. There we go. All right, now we've got that. I'm gonna choose, oh, this goes here. All right, let's choose the best side. Okay, so now we've got those 2 pieces. Let's put the pieces here on the side. So I've cut 6 pieces that are 2 inches by 5/8. I did ink around these edges with Victorian velvet that seemed to match with this collection. Okay, now we're going to make the lid, or the little pull tab on there. So I've already cut a piece of this green cardstock. It's not green, it's peacock. It's 4x4. We're going to put that at the scoreboard, and we're going to score at 1/2 inch, at 1.5, 2.5, and 3.5. Rotate it and do the same. 1/2 inch, 1.5, 2.5, 3.5. All right, that's fabulous, except it's not all we have to do, because we're going to make a trapezoid cube. No, it's not a trapezoid. Yeah, it is. No, I don't know what it is. We're going to make a cube, and it's going to be wider at the top than it is at the bottom. So we need to score to make it a little bit smaller at the bottom. I'm going to turn this over just so you could see. Okay, so again, I have that 6-inch line here at on my scoreboard. This is the center square. Make an X there because we're going to use the dotted side, just so you could see. I'm going to, I'll start here, down at one of the bottom corners on that center square. I'm holding it on my, actually, let's do this. So I've got the one line on the 6. I'm going to make a tick mark on this 1/2-inch tab, 1/8 of an inch to the inside of here. We're going to do it on all 4 of these. 1/8 of an inch, and then this one's on 5. I'm going to do it 1/8 of an inch. Rotate it so I have this one on 5, that one on 6. 1/8 of an inch to the inside of those marks. Okay, so then I'm going to put my stylus right at the corner. I'm going to pull this down and rotate my piece, because now that we have it held on here, it's going to rotate there. And this tick mark at the bottom, I'm going to match up with my line on my 6-inch mark and score. I'll do it again here. So this is on my 6-inch mark. Put my stylus right at the bottom corner. Rotate this so I can make a diagonal line from my corner to the tick mark. It's just going to be slightly off of what we've done before, but enough to make it look interesting. All right, I've done 4 on that side. Now I'm going to move this over so the left side of our center square is at that 6-inch mark. Move this over and do another tick mark. So here, I'm right here. Move it over. And there we go. I'm going to turn this. I'm going to try to focus it so you can see where my score lines are. So here are the score lines we just made. Reminds me of the New Mexico state flag. Take off my autofocus or else it'll keep doing that. All right, now what we need to do is do some trimming, of course. All right, first of all, I'm going to trim on this outside 1/2-inch score on that diagonal up to that first score. Actually, I'm going to take one of these diagonal ones that we did on the left-hand side of that cross and go all the way to that center square. So we'll do that 4 times. Then I'm going to just in the center of this one piece, go right up to where we cut. So on the right-hand side, we've got that little score line there. We've got the big score line here. And go up to our cut. Then I'm going to cut the small piece. So we've got our X. We've got a little score line here. We're going to cut this piece off, this 1/2 inch tab. All right, we're going to add some score tape. We're going to add it. So here's our X. On the bottom, the one closest to you, there's going to be this little 1/2 inch tab. We'll add score tape there. And onto the right of that is the little tab. It's got a diagonal cut. We'll add tape there. Here and here. At least with this, there's only 4 sides and not 6 like we've been used to with our hexagon. All right, let's burnish all that. I'm not going to peel off the backing on our furthest from the center X pieces, but we will for this little flap. Okay. Now I'm going to fold down so we have our center box. We'll put it down. Fold this in. I think we need to miter. So our little tab, we're going to miter to the center. All right, turn it upside down. I'm going to fold those tabs inward. And now put this up, take the tab to the right of it, and try to match the corners. Tab to the right, match the sides, not specifically the corners. And there we go. So you've got that little parallelogram, whatever it is. I'm going to peel off the backing. And push that down. Okay, so we've got some of the score tape showing. I'm going to add glue on the areas where it's not. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to center it on here. So there is our little top. Now the last step we need to do is put the bottom. So I'm turning this upside down. This is our bottom piece. We'll take off the score tape from that. And just push that down. Push it down from the other side as well. It just adds a little base. And then we'll put our little top on. And there we go. There is our little teapot. Okay, you've already seen this, but in the middle of this process, I realized that this center area needs a little more decoration. So what I've done is fussy cut a bunch of different elements out of the leftover paper. Now, I'm trying to just use the 8x8 paper pad, but these 3 were cut from the 12x12, but that's it, and you could probably do without it. Was this cut from the 12x12? This was cut from the 12x12 as well, and this was cut from the 8x8 paper pad. I just felt like it needed a title. So what I'm going to do is use this as a base, but because my area is long and thin, I'm going to turn this on its side. And it doesn't matter that I've got an element there. We're going to cover it up. So I'm going to take my two biggest elements. First one is this T for 2 because it's the title, and I want this to be prominent. And I also do want it to be up a level, so popped up. So I'll just put it closer to the top than the bottom. And then I have this. I honestly don't remember where I cut it from. I did it last night and it was late. But it's not a full teapot because there was a flower there, so I just had to make do. So I do have this. I have one. I have it popped up once, but I'll need to do some more because again, I just want this at the same level. I don't want to totally obscure where it says T for 2. I want this to sort of surround it. That's good. Now I'm going to have to do something with this to cover up the fact that I've already cut it apart. I also, the only other thing I did is I had die cut some of these leaves from that paper. I just wanted to make sure that I had something that tied into the original project. I'm going to glue this. I really hate to because I may change it. So I'll just do a couple of little dots. And if I move it, it's no harm, no foul. And here I'm putting glue up on the top of this one and gluing it to the underside of the T for 2, just so it's popped up a little. Okay, I'm going to cover most of that, but just to start. Okay, so now I do know that I want, so here's where I realized I probably need to move this out a little bit so it shows, because otherwise I'm going to cover it up. Okay, that's okay. I don't know that I'll use this yet. Something over here. Well, first of all, if I go like this and put this down below, yeah, I think I like that. So we have more of that design because that's in the, it's a prominent design. And then I want one of these down here. Oh, okay, just peeking out there because there's my 3. You know, we like to do things in 3. So now I've got these 3 blue guys. I like them because they tie in with the title, and they're still a stylized kind of flower, which ties in with the design. All right, after I analyze this, this has got to go. It's going to be too big off of this side once I cover up this end, so I'm just going to take it off. And besides that, I'd liked everything to be about the same size. So this one, if you put it next to these teacups, it just looks too big to it. So I'll use that somewhere else. So I'm going to where's my scissors? There they are. I need some more surface to anchor everything onto. So I'm just gluing that onto the back. We won't see it when it's all done. But I'm going to use this because it's going to go with this. But I could, but I like the color of this better. So I'm going to add a glue dot there. Add a little bit of glue. And that's going to go like that there. And then since I have that, I want some teacups. We want these. But I'm going to pop them up a little bit more. Just so they stand out a little. Oh, incidentally, another thing I've been doing is inking around the edges. I mean, it's hard to get into all those cracks and crevices, but it helps pull these items out. It differentiates them from their background. So I have been doing that. All right, let's add top dot to there. There we go. And then I need something else here that's a bit of a, you know what? We've got teapots. Let's use a cake. So I don't want these to be 3 in a row, so I have to finagle it a little. There we go with that. Okay. Now what else do I have? I don't think that can add to it. I don't think that can add to it. Okay, this is going to go up here to offset this color here, just to tie it in together so it doesn't look like an island. So we'll add that one there. And then I have another flower that I'm going to pop up a little. Okay, the only other thing I have are these butterflies that I am just going to add to our title. I folded them in half so they're a little dimensional. And I've got this one that I'll put down here. And there we go. I probably could add more, but I think it'll just muddy it up. So we will take this and adhere it on there. And there we go with our T for 2. And there we go. There were a lot of corners and scores in that project, weren't there? Hopefully you made it through. There are other projects to the series. We have the Teapot, the mini album, and the tea sampler. So if you haven't seen those, check the playlist or look in the description box to see the other ones. That's what I have for you today. So thank you so much for watching and have a fabulous day.